My husband took me to the hospital for my prenatal checkup. While he went to get the results, a nurse grabbed me and whispered, "Don't have this baby. Run away, now." What happened next left me utterly horrified. I sat on a plush leather sofa in the VIP waiting lounge of Sacred Heart Women's Hospital. Taking a deep breath, my hand subconsciously rested on my still flat stomach. In there, a tiny life, the crystallization of Logan's and my love, was growing day by day. I was 10 weeks pregnant. My husband, Logan, was standing at the reception desk. His tall, broad-shouldered back looked sturdy in a navy blue silk shirt. Even from behind, he exuded an irresistible, charismatic aura. Logan was the CEO of a massive real estate development firm, the kind of man tens of thousands of women in this city dreamed of. Yet he was my husband. Just thinking about it melted my heart, filling it with a happiness that felt almost surreal. Finishing the paperwork, he walked briskly toward me. Instead of sitting down immediately, he leaned over, his warm hand gently tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "Are you tired? Should we head home first? I can get the results later and let you know." His deep, warm voice was always brimming with care, treating me as if I were a fragile treasure. I shook my head and smiled up at him. "I'm not tired. I want to see the ultrasound results with you." He smiled, lighting up his handsome face. "All right, sweetheart. Wait here for 5 minutes. I need to show the results to Dr. Trenton. He's my best friend. I want him to look it over carefully." "Okay." I nodded obediently. Logan was always this meticulous and thoughtful. He wanted everything for me and the baby to be absolutely perfect. As Logan disappeared behind the heavy mahogany door marked Head of Obstetrics, I leaned back against the sofa, smiling, lost in my own bubble of bliss. I was absent-mindedly staring out at the skylight, bathed in golden sunshine, when a young nurse in blush-pink scrubs pushed a medical cart past me. I thought she was just walking by, but she wasn't. As the cart passed my seat, she abruptly stopped, dropping a stainless steel medical clamp onto the tiled floor. The sharp clatter startled me. The nurse bent down to pick it up, and when she looked up, she stared straight at me. I don't know how to describe that look. It was full of panic, full of absolute terror. She didn't say anything, just hurriedly pushed the cart forward. But merely seconds later, she abruptly turned around and walked briskly back toward me so fast I didn't even have time to react. Without a word, she suddenly grabbed my elbow, her grip tight. Her hand was ice-cold and trembling. Stunned, I tried to pull my arm back. "What are you doing?" She didn't look at me. Her eyes kept darting nervously down the hallway, where Logan had disappeared, as if keeping watch for a vicious predator. She leaned close to my ear, whispering urgently, every word piercing my eardrums like icy needles. "You're CEO Logan's wife, right? Don't have this baby. Run away, now." My entire body froze. "What are you talking about?" "Run away," she repeated, her voice cracking with fear. "Be careful." That was the last thing she managed to say, before hastily letting go of my arm, as if she had just touched fire. She took a step back, looking just as panicked as I was, then turned and practically ran with her medication cart, quickly vanishing into the crowd in the corridor. I sat paralyzed on the sofa, the imprint of her 5 fingers still feeling ice-cold on my elbow. "Don't have this baby. Run away. Now." Those words kept looping in my mind, nonsensical yet terrifying. Why? Why would a complete stranger say something so horrific to me? Before I could even gather my senses or comprehend what had just happened, Logan appeared at the end of the hallway. He was smiling, holding the envelope with the ultrasound results. "What's wrong? You look pale," he said, quickening his pace, his hand anxiously feeling my forehead. "Is your blood pressure dropping?" Logan's warm hand snapped me out of my trance. I flinched slightly, forcing a stiff smile. I'm fine. Probably just a little dizzy, because I haven't eaten breakfast yet." I couldn't tell him the truth. I couldn't say that a strange nurse had just delivered an earth-shattering warning. "Well, we can't have that," Logan frowned, his face full of distress. "The checkup is done. Let's go get breakfast immediately. You can't skip meals like this anymore. It affects the baby." He gently helped me stand up, handling me with such care it felt like I was carrying his entire world. I leaned against him, inhaling his familiar expensive cologne, trying to dispel those terrifying words. It must be some sort of misunderstanding. It has to be. In the luxurious Bentley, Logan drove smoothly. He even put on my favorite instrumental symphony. He took my hand, intertwining his fingers with mine. The interior designer is coming over this weekend to measure the nursery. What color palette do you like? Mint green or butter yellow? I think butter yellow would feel cozier, don't you? I murmured absent-mindedly. My ears couldn't register the music, nor was I truly hearing his words. My mind was consumed by the strange nurse's warning. Why? Why would she say that? I looked at the perfect man beside me. His face was handsome, chiseled like a Greek statue, his nose straight, and his eyes always looking at me with pure affection. We met 2 years ago at a charity gala, and had been married for a year. My life from an orphaned girl, struggling to make ends meet as an editor at an indie magazine, had transformed overnight into the wife of the city's top real estate mogul. Logan had turned me from Cinderella into a real princess. He pampered me endlessly, holding me in the palm of his hand. In our year of marriage, he had never raised his voice at me, not even once. I remember one time I clumsily broke his favorite antique ceramic vase, an item he had won at an auction for a small fortune. I was terrified to the point of tears, certain he would be furious. But Logan just rushed over, pulled me into his arms, and asked frantically, "Did the glass cut you? Are you okay?" Only when he knew I was safe did he breathe a sigh of relief, kissing my forehead. Objects can be replaced. If you get hurt, my heart breaks. How could a man like that, a husband who, even when he had a reason to be angry, only worried about my safety, be a bad person? How could he be someone I needed to run away from? The nurse's words seemed more absurd the more I thought about them. Surely, she had some mental issues, or perhaps she was jealous of my happiness. In a high-end international hospital like this, petty drama and envy were everywhere. I reassured myself. I couldn't let a baseless, senseless warning from a stranger ruin my absolute paradise. I squeezed Logan's hand tighter. I like butter yellow. It sounds warm. Logan smiled, lifting my hand to his lips for a soft kiss. I knew it. We really are on the exact same wavelength. He didn't know that at that very moment, even though I was smiling at him, a tiny, freezing seed of doubt had been planted in my heart. The dizzy spell at the hospital passed quickly, but the lingering unease remained. Throughout the ride home, and even as Logan gently guided me into our magnificent mansion, I couldn't shake the image of that panicked nurse from my head. Logan said he had to handle some urgent work emails and told me to rest upstairs. He even instructed our housekeeper to prepare a bowl of organic bone broth for me, saying it was to nourish the pregnancy. That level of thoughtfulness should have warmed my heart, but now it felt slightly suffocating. I went to my room and locked the door, something I had never done before. I needed absolute privacy. I walked into the bathroom, turning the faucet on full blast, hoping the sound of running water would drown out the thumping of my heart. I looked at myself in the mirror. My face was a bit pale, but it was still the face of a happy woman. I told myself I was being too paranoid. I took off my coat, intending to hang it up. Just then, a small object fell out of the pocket and onto the cold marble floor. It was a crumpled, balled-up piece of paper. I froze. When did this? Then I remembered. When the nurse grabbed my arm, her ice-cold hand had gripped me tightly. She must have intentionally dropped the clamp, intentionally turned back not just to whisper that sentence, but to slip this note into my pocket. My hands shook as I picked it up. It was cheap notepad paper, hastily torn, not the premium stationery used at this hospital. I carefully unfolded it. The handwriting was a frantic, messy scrawl, as if the writer was terrified. Your husband is an abuser. His ex-wife, Lauren, almost died from a miscarriage. Beware of Dr. Trenton. I had to read it 3 times to comprehend the words. My blood ran cold. Ex-wife Lauren. Logan had never told me he had been married before. He told me I was his first and only true love, the first woman he ever wanted to marry. Abuser. Almost died. How could these words be associated with my gentle husband, the man who wouldn't even scold me for breaking his most prized possession? And Dr. Trenton. That name hit me like a sledgehammer. The head of obstetrics, The best friend Logan had just gone to speak with privately. This coincidence. It couldn't be random. I clutched the note, a violent wave of nausea hitting me. My perfect world had suddenly developed terrifying cracks in just one morning. I didn't know what to believe: 3 years of sweet romance, or these 20 terrifying words. That night, I lay in Logan's warm embrace, but I felt chilled to the bone. He held me as he slept, gentle as always, but I couldn't close my eyes. I was scared. For the first time in my life, I was afraid of the man lying next to me. I knew I couldn't live in this ambiguity forever. I had to ask him. But I couldn't ask about the note directly. That was too dangerous. I needed an excuse. A natural excuse. The opportunity arose during dinner the next evening. In our lavish dining room, under the crystal chandelier, Logan was meticulously cutting my steak into bite-sized pieces for me. He was always like this, caring for me like a child. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice as casual as possible. "Hey, honey, yesterday, while I was waiting for you at the hospital, I thought I overheard some nurses talking. They mentioned your name along with a woman named Lauren. They said she was a former patient there. Who is she?" I had braced myself for any reaction, but his momentary freeze still made my heart drop. The silver fork in his hand halted in midair. For a split second, the metal clinked sharply against the porcelain plate, slicing through the silence. The smile on his lips stiffened, but he quickly regained his composure. He set the fork down, turning to look at me, his eyes still gentle. He sighed, taking my hand. "Oh, you mean Lauren? I didn't think you'd ever hear that name." Seeing my stunned expression, he quickly explained, a hint of guilt in his voice. "She's my ex-wife." My chest tightened as if squeezed by an invisible hand, despite my mental preparation. Ex-wife. So, the note was right about at least one thing. Why? Why did you never tell me? I tried to keep my voice from shaking. Logan gave my hand a reassuring squeeze, his gaze affectionate. "We got married when we were very young. We were both impulsive and immature. We only lived together for a little over a year before realizing we were incompatible, so we had an amicable divorce." He reached out and stroked my hair. "It's ancient history, long before I met you. I didn't want to bring it up because I was afraid you'd overthink it. I only care about our present, about you and the baby." Silly girl, his explanation sounded so reasonable, so sincere. If it were the me from yesterday, I would have believed him instantly, even blaming myself for doubting him. But now, that explanation felt wrong. Amicable divorce. It sounded so light, so civilized, but why did it directly contradict what the note said? Almost died from a miscarriage. Someone was definitely lying, either the crazy nurse or my perfect husband. I sat still, trying to digest the information. I looked at Logan, really looked at him. I looked at the man I loved with my life, the man I trusted absolutely. His eyes were still warm, his voice still deep and soothing. But I suddenly noticed something. While he was speaking words of reassurance, "It's in the past. Let it go," his left hand, resting on his thigh just below the edge of the table, was exhibiting a very strange behavior. His index finger was twitching involuntarily. It wasn't a relaxed tapping. It was a continuous, uncontrollable, rapid twitching, a manifestation of extreme tension, an attempt to suppress a surging emotion. He thought I couldn't see it because it was hidden, but I saw it clearly. His right hand holding mine was warm, but his left hand betrayed his anxiety. I had to pretend to believe him. I couldn't let him know I was suspicious. I pulled my hand back and smiled, a smile that felt more distorted than crying. "Oh, I see. I was just a bit curious. I understand. Everyone has a past. As long as you love me now, that's all that matters." "Of course I do." "Silly." Logan sighed in relief. His smile finally looked genuine. He didn't know that his sigh of relief was what pushed me deeper into the icy abyss of suspicion. That night, he hugged me from behind again. His arms, the place I always considered the safest haven in the world, now made me feel suffocated. His steady breath on my neck gave me goosebumps. The next morning, Logan kissed me goodbye before leaving for work. He was as tender as always, and even instructed the housekeeper to keep a close eye on me. Pregnant women can be emotionally volatile, he said. Keep an eye on her for me. I didn't know if that was genuine concern or a subtle order to put me under surveillance. The moment the front door clicked shut, the air in the house seemed to loosen. I couldn't just sit here waiting for death. I had to find that nurse. I looked at the crumpled note again. On the back, hastily written in blue ink, was a phone number. The handwriting matched the warning. She had left a way to contact her. I couldn't use my own phone. Logan had installed a family-sharing tracking app on both our devices. He could see who I called, even where I was. I dug through my purse, pulling out some cash. I told the housekeeper I was craving a specific pastry from an old bakery I loved, and hurried out. I didn't call our private driver. Instead, I walked several blocks before hailing a yellow cab. I told the driver to take me to a rough, low-income neighborhood in the Bronx, a place entirely alien to my upper-class life. I walked into a dingy, run-down electronics store. Give me the cheapest prepaid flip phone you have, and a burner SIM card. The teenage clerk looked me up and down, his eyes weirded out. He was probably wondering why a woman dressed in designer clothes was buying a burner, but I didn't care. I grabbed the phone and the SIM card and walked straight into a gritty alleyway cafe nearby, choosing the darkest corner. My hands trembled as I inserted the SIM card. Taking a deep breath, I dialed the number on the note. It rang 3 long times. Then, someone picked up. "Hello?" A timid young female voice answered. It was her voice. My heart raced. "Hello, is this? Are you the nurse from Sacred Heart Hospital?" The other end went dead silent. I could clearly hear her rapid breathing. "Who is this? How do you have this number?" "I'm Tessa, Logan's wife. Yesterday at the hospital, you gave me a note." "Oh my God," the girl's voice panicked. I don't know anything. Don't call me again, I don't want any trouble." She was about to hang up. "Wait," I cried into the phone, tears beginning to fall. "Please don't hang up. I beg you, tell me the truth. I'm pregnant. My baby. This is about my life and my child's life. Please, you're a woman too, right? You have to save us." Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. I could only hear both of us breathing. Just when I thought she had hung up, a weak voice spoke. "I'm Tara. I'm Lauren's cousin." Lauren's cousin. I repeated the words, my voice breaking. The name on the note, the name I had tried to convince myself wasn't relevant, was now brutally real. This nurse wasn't crazy, nor was she jealous. She was telling the truth. Then, Lauren. Is she? I didn't dare ask further, my throat bitter and tight. She had to go into hiding. Tara's voice trembled over the phone, mixed with the sound of traffic. She was probably calling from a public place too. "Tessa, I'm begging you. Don't tell anyone I called you. I'm so scared. Logan is not the man you think he is." I quickly reassured her. "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. I'm using a burner phone. Please, tell me exactly what happened to Lauren." Tara took a deep breath, seemingly trying to gather all her courage. "I don't know everything. Back then, I was just a nursing intern at Sacred Heart. Lauren was my cousin, and she was so sweet. She married Logan, and everyone said she was so lucky, marrying a man who was rich and loved her so much, just like you." Those words made me shudder. But then she changed. She got dangerously thin, always depressed. A few times I saw her, she had bruises on her arms. When I pressed her, she just cried and said she was clumsy and fell down the stairs. I held my breath. And the miscarriage? I only know that one day, Lauren was brought into the ER, suffering from massive blood loss. Dr. Trenton was the attending physician. Tara emphasized that name. I was curious, so I secretly looked at the file. The chart said spontaneous miscarriage due to a weak cervix. But I accidentally overheard Logan and Dr. Trenton talking in the hallway. Logan said, "Process the file cleanly. Don't leave any loose ends." His voice was so cold. A few days later, Lauren fled the hospital. She called me exactly once, saying Logan was a monster. He manipulated her, he beat her. She told me to beware of him and Dr. Trenton, and then she disappeared completely. I sat paralyzed in the noisy alley cafe. Tara's story was a parallel script to my own life. The perfect husband, Dr. Trenton, Sacred Heart Hospital. The only difference was Lauren had a miscarriage and escaped. And I was pregnant, and I was still here. I gripped the cheap flip phone, its cold plastic seeping into my heart. Tara, I understand. Thank you. I'm not done, Tara interrupted, her voice growing more urgent. I don't have hard proof about the miscarriage, it's just what I overheard. But there's one more thing. Lauren told me if I ever met someone in her exact situation, I had to tell them this. What? I asked anxiously. Tara's voice dropped to a whisper. Check the life insurance policies, Lauren said. About a month before her miscarriage, Logan bought a massive life insurance policy on her. She was so happy at the time, thinking her husband was securing their future. She signed it without reading. Tessa, you need to check if Logan bought something similar for you. A jolt of pure ice shot down my spine. Yes, I remembered. I remembered it perfectly. A little over a month ago, the exact day I showed Logan the positive pregnancy test, he wept with joy. He picked me up and spun me around the living room. He said we finally had our miracle. And then, just a few days later, he brought home a thick stack of documents. He hugged me and said, Sweetheart, you're carrying my greatest treasure now. I need to prepare the absolute best for our future. He said it was an investment trust portfolio, a special trust fund to ensure that no matter what happened, our child would be set for life. I was so intoxicated by the bliss of a woman about to become a mother, pampered by an adoring husband. How could I suspect anything? He pointed to where I needed to sign, and I signed. I signed my name on those pages without reading a single word. I only saw his action as a manifestation of boundless love. I signed something, I replied to Tara, my voice shaking uncontrollably. Oh my God, Tara gasped. Go home right now. Find it, Tessa. I have to go. Someone is looking at me. Don't call this number again. I'm destroying the SIM. You have to be careful. The call disconnected. I sat numbly in the cafe. The black coffee in front of me had long gone cold. Life insurance. So that was it. If Logan's abuse toward Lauren was real, then his gentleness toward me was likely just an even more sophisticated act. An act to get me to willingly sign something. Something that tied a price tag to my life. I rushed to pay for my coffee and hailed another cab back to the estate. Throughout the ride, my mind spun wildly. The disconnected puzzle pieces began snapping together. Tara's warning, the note, Dr. Trenton, Logan's twitching finger, and now, the insurance policy. My picture-perfect happiness was shattering into a million pieces. The magnificent mansion loomed before me. The place I once thought of as my paradise now looked like a gilded cage, cold and full of deadly traps. I walked inside, trying to maintain my composure. The housekeeper saw me and hurried over. Ma'am, you're back. Mr. Logan called and told me to make you some chicken soup. I'm a bit tired. I cut her off, trying not to show my panic. I want to go upstairs and rest. Don't let anyone disturb me until the afternoon. I'm not hungry. I lied. I needed time. I needed absolute privacy. I rushed upstairs and locked the door. I walked straight into Logan's home office, where I often sat to read. I knew he had a wall safe hidden behind an expensive oil painting. He never hid the passcode from me. He used to say, "What's mine is yours." My hands trembled as I punched in my birthday. A cruelly ironic password. The heavy steel door clicked open. Inside, next to property deeds and jewelry, was a dark blue folder. It looked exactly like the folder Logan had me sign that day. It wasn't an investment trust. The cover clearly read, Comprehensive Life Insurance Policy, Family Security Package. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped it. I flipped to the most important page. I saw my name, Tessa Davis, underinsured. I looked at the effective date, exactly 1 month ago, right after I announced my pregnancy, and then my eyes locked onto the bottom 2 lines. Coverage, amount, $5 million USD. My vision blurred. The entire estate my parents left me wasn't even worth half that number. And the final line, sole beneficiary. Logan Davis, husband. The folder slipped from my hands, scattering papers across the floor. I couldn't breathe. So this was it. My happiness, my love, my unborn child, it was all part of a meticulously calculated game of chess. I wasn't his wife. I was a commodity. A commodity worth $5 million. Don't have this baby. Now, I understood Tara's warning. It probably wasn't that I shouldn't give birth, but that he didn't intend for me to survive childbirth. I collapsed onto the cold marble floor of his office. I couldn't even cry. The sheer terror had peaked, strangling my heart and freezing my tears. $5 million. That was the price tag for my life and my baby's life. All of Logan's gentleness, his attentiveness, the times he cooked breakfast for me, the goodnight kisses. All of it was just a play. A sophisticated script, performed by an Oscar-worthy actor. He wasn't the brute who beat Lauren anymore. No, he had evolved. He realized that gentleness, psychological manipulation through love, was the sweetest, most effective poison. It made the prey willingly step into the trap, even smiling happily as they signed their own death warrant. I suddenly understood that Dr. Trenton wasn't just a best friend. He was an accomplice. Lauren's spontaneous miscarriage file. And perhaps mine would be an unfortunate complication during a C-section. Everything was sickeningly clear. I couldn't sit here waiting to die. I couldn't let him win. I had to live for my child and for myself. I suddenly thought of Lauren. Tara said she escaped. She was the only person besides Tara who knew Logan's true face, the only one who had escaped his clutches. I had to meet her. I had to know how she did it. I needed to know more about the real Logan. Tara had destroyed her SIM. I couldn't contact her on that number anymore. But I remembered that when I bought the burner phone, I bought 2 SIM cards. I scrambled up, gathered the insurance papers, put them back in the safe, and returned everything exactly as it was. I had to be perfectly calm. I went back to the master bedroom, locked the door, went into the bathroom, and turned the shower on full blast. The rushing water would drown out my voice. I swapped the SIM card in the burner phone and shakily dialed Tara's number again. I prayed that in her panic, she hadn't thrown the phone away yet. Hello? Tara's voice answered, laced with fear. Tara, it's me. Tessa, I spoke rapidly. I'm using a different number. Listen to me. I found the policy. It's exactly like you said. Oh my God, Tara gasped. Then you need to leave. Run away right now, Tessa. No, I gritted my teeth, suppressing my tremors. I can't run blindly. He will find me. Tara, you have to help me. I need to meet Lauren. I have to meet her immediately. I can't do that, Tara sobbed. Lauren had to fight so hard to live off the grid. She won't agree to meet anyone. Logan. Logan is terrifying. She won't dare. I know this is my only chance, I pleaded. Tara, tell her I'm pregnant too. Tell her I have a policy too. I'm not begging for her help. I'm begging her to save 2 lives. If she doesn't help, there will be another Lauren. But this time, I won't be lucky enough to escape. Tell her that, please. The line went silent for a long time. The sound of running water in my bathroom suddenly felt deafening. Finally, Tara replied, her voice trembling. I'll try. I'll message her. I can't promise anything. I'll let you know. The days following that call were the longest of my life. I lived in an opulent mansion next to the husband I once loved with my entire soul, but it felt like walking on thin ice. I had to keep smiling, playing the role of the blissful wife, eagerly awaiting her first child. Every gesture of care from Logan now made my skin crawl. He peeled apples for me, he rubbed my belly, he whispered sweet nothings to the fetus. But I only felt the chill of the grave. He wasn't loving my baby. He was caressing a $5 million payout. I hid the burner phone deep inside my closet, inside an old jewelry box I never used. I was terrified. Terrified Logan would find out. Terrified he would notice the change in my eyes. Terrified the housekeeper, the one Logan told to keep an eye on me, would notice my anxiety and report back to him. I lived in sheer terror inside my own home. Every footstep on the stairs, every sudden turn of a doorknob, made my heart leap into my throat. 2 agonizing days passed. I was almost hopeless, thinking Lauren would never agree. Perhaps Tara was right. She was too traumatized to be dragged back into this nightmare. I was just about to find another way when the hidden burner phone vibrated. I rushed into the bathroom, locked the door, turned on the water, and answered. Tessa. Tara's voice was urgent. Tara? What did she say? I held my breath. Lauren. She agreed. I breathed a massive sigh of relief, but Tara continued immediately. But she is terrified. She will only meet you for exactly 15 minutes. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. At a dive coffee shop called Nostalgia, in a deep alley in the Lower East Side. She says Logan would never think to look there. You must come alone and make absolutely sure you are not followed. I know. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, I cried, tears of relief. Hanging up, I leaned against the wall, catching my breath. Here was my chance. I had to prepare meticulously. I had to lie to Logan, but could I successfully lie to a man as brilliant and paranoid as him? That evening, I proactively told Logan, Honey, I want to go to the prenatal spa tomorrow. My back has been aching lately. I booked an appointment at that place I went to last time. Logan, who was reviewing some documents, looked up and smiled. That's good. Go relax. I'll have the driver take you. No, it's fine. I quickly waved it off, trying to sound as casual as possible. I want to take an Uber. I'm going to swing by the bookstore afterward to buy some parenting books. Give me a little freedom, don't worry. Logan looked at me. His eyes narrowed slightly, just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough to send a chill down my spine. Is he suspicious? But then he nodded. All right. Just be careful. Make sure you take the black card I gave you. Buy whatever you want. He didn't know I didn't need his credit card. I needed my life. I didn't go to the spa. I didn't go to the bookstore. I took an Uber to a massive shopping mall, wandered around for a bit, then exited through the rear loading docks and hailed a yellow cab. I had to do everything possible to ensure that if Logan had someone tailing me, they would lose my trail. The second cab dropped me off at the entrance of a grimy alley in the Lower East Side. I paid in cash, pulled the hood of my jacket up, and walked into the dark, narrow passage. Nostalgia Cafe was exactly as its name implied. Tiny, dilapidated, hidden behind overgrown vines. The smell of mildew and burnt coffee beans mingled in the air. An atmosphere completely antithetical to the luxury of Sacred Heart Hospital or my lavish estate. I felt a surge of irony. I, the wife of a billionaire CEO, had to sneak into a place like this to find a way to survive. I pushed the creaky wooden door open. The cafe was empty, save for a few middle-aged men smoking in a corner. I scanned the room. In the darkest booth sat a woman with her back turned. She wore a faded olive-green jacket, a bucket hat pulled low, and a black face mask. I walked over, my heart pounding. Excuse me. Are you Lauren? I whispered. The woman jumped, her head snapping up. Even behind dark sunglasses, I could feel the panic in her eyes. Are you Tessa? Her voice was raspy and weak. Yes, it's me. I slid into the booth opposite her, my hands sweating underneath the table. Lauren stared at me for a long time through her dark lenses. She didn't say anything, just let out a long, shaky sigh. Then she slowly pulled her mask down to take a sip of hot tea. I was stunned. Her face was gaunt, hollowed out, her skin an ashen, lifeless gray. She looked years older than I had imagined. But what truly horrified me was when she leaned forward, exposing her neck. A pale but incredibly long scar slashed across her throat, right above her collarbone. It didn't look like a surgical scar. It looked like a deep laceration that had been hastily, clumsily stitched together. I instinctively brought a hand to my mouth. Seeing my reaction, Lauren pulled her collar up. A bitter smile touched her dry, cracked lips. Scared? This is a souvenir from him. She took another sip of tea, looking straight into my eyes. You believed he was Prince Charming too, didn't you? You believed he loved you more than life itself? Lauren didn't wait for my answer. She let out a dry, bitter laugh that echoed in the musty cafe. When he pursued me, she began, her voice monotone like a machine. It was even more romantic than your story. I used to be beautiful. I had a great career. He appeared like a god. I remember once I was sick, and I casually mentioned craving a specific clam chowder from a diner in my hometown in Massachusetts. That night, he drove over 200 miles just to bring me a hot bowl of soup the next morning. I was dumbfounded. Logan had done something incredibly similar for me. He told me, Lauren continued, her eyes staring blankly at the peeling wallpaper, that I was born to be loved. He didn't want me to work hard. He told me to quit my job. Stay home, I'll take care of you. That job is beneath you. And I, like an idiot, believed him. I quit the job I loved, abandoned my friends, severed my social ties. I stayed home, wandering around that mansion, waiting for him. I thought that was happiness. My stomach tied in knots. This script, it was 90% identical to my life. Logan had also told me to quit my editing job. He said he would provide for me, but I had refused, saying I would get bored at home. You're lucky, Lauren said, as if reading my mind. You still have your job. By the time I realized I had no one else in the world but him, it was too late. He started controlling me. What I wore, who I talked to, even what books I read. And then, the first time he got physical. He hit you? I asked, my voice trembling. I accidentally broke a crystal tumbler he liked, Lauren said, her voice flat. I thought he would be furious, but no, he slapped me. A backhand so hard it knocked me to the floor. Before I even understood what happened, he dropped to his knees and pulled me into his arms. He cried. I held my breath. He cried, Lauren repeated. He wept hysterically. He punched himself in the face. He swore up and down. He said he loved me too much, was too terrified of losing me. And that's why he lost control. He said it was the first and last time. And you know what? She looked at me, her eyes piercing even through the dark lenses. I believed him. I hugged him, comforted him, as if he was the one who had been hit, not me. I suddenly remembered the time I broke his antique ceramic vase. He hadn't hit me, he just hugged me, frantically asking if I was hurt. I stupidly recounted that story to Lauren. Lauren shook her head, a mocking smile appearing. You don't get it. You're too naive. That's because he evolved. He realized that with his first wife, physical violence left marks. With you, he uses a much more terrifying weapon. Psychological manipulation through love. He makes you feel indebted to him. Makes you willingly believe he is the best man on earth. He is an Oscar-winning actor, and you are his most loyal audience member. Lauren's words shattered my heart like 1,000 shards of glass. The husband I loved was nothing but a character. The gentleness I received was just an upgraded version of his abuse. After that first time, Lauren continued, her voice growing hoarse. Once I forgave him, there was a second time, and a third. He didn't need a reason. If I looked at another man, or even took too long to answer a friend's text, he would go psychotic. She fell silent for a moment. Then, as if making a massive decision, she rolled up the sleeve of her faded jacket. Under the yellow, sickly light of the cafe, I stared in horror at the scars. Old and new, overlapping, raised and jagged across her thin arm. There were round burn marks from cigarettes, long slashes from something sharp. I covered my mouth, trying to stifle a sob of pure terror. The man who peeled apples for me every morning, the man who read to me every night, used a leather belt on her. I couldn't bear to think about it. The climax, Lauren pulled her sleeve down, was when I got pregnant. I thought having a baby would change him. I had hope. She started to cry, but they were dry, emotionless tears. I was 4 months along, just because my OBGYN was a young male doctor, just because he complimented me, saying I was a glowing mother-to-be. That night, Logan went insane. He screamed that I was a whore, said the baby wasn't his. Oh my God, he shoved me. He shoved me so hard. Lauren's voice cracked. He purposely pushed me so I'd land hard on my stomach on the hardwood floor. I bled so much. I was rushed to Sacred Heart. And do you know who processed my file? I was trembling violently. Dr. Trenton. Lauren nodded, gritting her teeth. Yes, Dr. Trenton, he is the one who signed the paperwork, listing it as a spontaneous miscarriage due to cervical incompetence. He is Logan's lapdog. He helped Logan erase all the evidence. Logan didn't even come into my room once. He just stood in the hallway talking to Trenton, processed the file cleanly. Exactly the way he talks about a real estate deal. I felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water over me. Lauren's story matched every detail Tara had overheard. After that, I knew I couldn't survive if I stayed. Lauren grabbed my hands. Her hands were as cold as ice. Tessa, you have to listen to me. You are pregnant. You have a $5 million policy. You are me, but a more perfect, more valuable version for his plan. This time, he doesn't need a fall down the stairs. He needs a surgical accident. With Dr. Trenton, it's too easy. $5 million is worth way more than a fall. Lauren stood up abruptly, checking her watch. I have to go. My 15 minutes are up. Do not contact me again, and don't trust Tara too much either. Don't trust anyone. She pulled her hat down, adjusted her mask, and gave me one last look. Save yourself. Don't end up like me. Lauren hurried out, leaving me alone in the musty cafe with a truth more bitter than the cold black coffee on the table. I don't remember how I left Nostalgia Cafe. The barista might have asked if I was okay, why I looked so pale. I didn't hear her. My ears were ringing, echoing Lauren's words. Oscar-winning actor. Surgical accident. $5 million. I stepped out of the dark alley, and the brilliant afternoon sun blinded me. The city was still bustling, traffic flowing normally, but my world had completely collapsed. I hailed a cab, but only rode a few blocks before asking the driver to stop. I was terrified. Terrified. Logan had someone tailing me. Terrified he knew I met Lauren. Her warning, "Don't trust anyone," haunted me. I walked several long blocks, caught another cab, and got out again. I drove around in circles like a lunatic, taking 3 or 4 different cars. Only when I was absolutely certain no one was following me did I dare give the address to my estate, the place I used to call home. Home. Those 2 words sounded so incredibly ironic now. It wasn't a home, it was a gilded cage, a meticulously constructed theater stage, and I was the prey waiting for the slaughterhouse. I wondered if the man playing my husband had ever loved me, or if from the moment he saw me at that charity gala, a lonely orphan, easy to manipulate, he had marked me for his master plan. I took a deep breath, trying to suppress the shivers running down my spine. I had to be calm. I had to act. I had to act better than him. I couldn't let him discover anything. I mentally rehearsed my script. I went to the spa, got too relaxed, and fell asleep. Then I swung by Barnes & Noble to buy some things. I pinched my cheeks to bring some color back, forcing the exhausted but satisfied smile of a pregnant woman who had just had a relaxing day. I unlocked the front door and walked in. The usual luxurious silence enveloped me. The housekeeper was bustling in the kitchen. Everything seemed normal, but my intuition screamed that something was wrong. Then I noticed Logan's designer leather shoes neatly placed by the console table. He was home. He was supposed to be at the corporate office at this hour. My heart skipped a beat. Had he figured out my plan? I looked up, and I saw him. Logan wasn't in the living room. He was standing on the landing halfway up the grand staircase, his hands in his pockets, silently staring down at me. I didn't know how long he had been standing there. The crystal chandelier illuminated him from above, casting half his face in dark shadow. He wasn't smiling. He just stood motionless on the stairs, staring at me. That look wasn't tender or affectionate like usual. It was cold and sharp as a scalpel, scanning me from head to toe. I felt completely naked. Like every lie I had prepared was instantly seen through. My throat went dry. I stammered, "Honey? Why are you home so early?" It took a few agonizing seconds for Logan to speak. His voice was flat, neither angry nor warm. "You were at the spa for a long time." A simple statement, but it felt like an iron grip crushing my heart. He didn't ask, "Did you have a good time? Are you tired?" He pointed out how long I was gone. He had been timing me. I clutched the strap of my purse, forcing myself to play the role. I was so tired I actually fell asleep during the massage. I'm sorry. Afterward, I stopped by the bookstore to pick up a few things, so I'm a bit late. I held up the Barnes & Noble shopping bags, things I had frantically bought on the way back as an alibi. Logan smirked a smile so subtle, it was barely noticeable. He slowly walked down the stairs, step by deliberate step. Is that right? He held up his smartphone. I called you 5 times. You didn't answer. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I scrambled to open my purse, continuing the script I had prepared. I put it on silent at the spa. I must have. I must have forgotten to turn the ringer back on. I pulled my phone out. The screen lit up with a barrage of missed calls and texts from him. Logan stepped close to me. He wasn't furious. He just gently reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, but his touch made me shudder. You made me worry. He kissed my forehead. The kiss was as cold as a block of ice. I was just terrified that being pregnant, walking around the city alone isn't safe. Next time you go anywhere, you tell me, and I'll have the driver take you. Understood? Yes, I know, I mumbled. Tomorrow I have board meetings all day, he continued, his voice returning to normal. I probably won't be home until late. Just rest at home, okay? Don't wander around. That sentence should have made me sigh in relief because I'd have a day of freedom. But somehow, I got the sinking feeling that his board meetings was also a lie. That night, lying next to him, I pretended to be fast asleep. I could sense he wasn't sleeping either. He lay there, his breathing steady. But I knew he was awake. Toward dawn, when I was certain he had actually fallen asleep, I dared to gently open my nightstand drawer. My heart stopped. My pregnancy journal. I always placed it with the spine facing outward, but now, the spine was facing inward. He had gone through my things. He had read my journal. He didn't trust me. The trap was tightening faster than I anticipated. The next few days passed in a suffocating, almost unbreathable atmosphere. Logan never brought up the fact that I came home late that day. He reverted back to playing the perfect husband, even more attentive and caring than before. He personally cooked my favorite meals. He bought piles of high-end baby clothes. He spent hours every night reading to my belly. But this excessive attention now just made me feel like livestock being fattened for the slaughter. The gentler he was, the more terrified I became. I knew this was the psychological manipulation Lauren had warned me about. He was trying to use sweetness to soothe me, to lull me into dropping my suspicions and obediently trusting him again. One evening, while I was watching TV on the sofa, Logan brought over a steaming bowl of decaf tea and an organic fruit tart. He didn't hand it to me. He sat beside me, feeding me bite by bite. Eat up, sweetheart, for the baby, he said. I reluctantly swallowed. I can feed myself. Honey, no, he smiled. I love taking care of you. He fed me another bite, then casually remarked, his tone offhand, Hey, is work at the magazine getting too stressful for you lately? My stomach dropped. I knew he was making his move. It's normal, I said. It's nearing the end of the quarter, so there are a few more articles to edit, but it's fine. Logan set the plate down on the coffee table. He took my hands, looking at me seriously. I've been thinking about it. Why don't you quit your job and stay home? Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still stunned. Here it is, exactly like Lauren's script. He wanted to isolate me. I forced a smile. But I'd be so bored at home. I just worked to stay active, to keep my mind sharp. Logan's voice remained gentle, but there was an immovable finality to it. What's there to be bored about? You're having a baby now. You need to focus on your health. Remember when you went to the spa alone and came home late? I was a nervous wreck. You're always out on the streets. What if someone bumps into you? What if you trip and fall? It's too dangerous. This wasn't a suggestion anymore. It was a command wrapped in the guise of concern. That job at the magazine is exhausting, and the pay is peanuts. It's not worth tiring yourself out over. You stay home, I'll take care of you. I'll give you whatever you want. Isn't that better? But my current editorial project is almost done. I tried to find an excuse. If I quit abruptly, my coworkers will be so mad at me. Logan sighed, as if I were a stubborn child. He stroked my hair. You're always such a people pleaser. All right, you don't have to put yourself in an awkward position. He stood up, picking up his phone. Give it till the end of this week. Let me call your editor-in-chief. One phone call from me will settle it. You won't have to worry about a thing. I was paralyzed. He's going to call them. He was cutting off my last avenue of retreat. He was going to lock me inside this mansion, severing all my social ties. Lauren was right. He was moving very fast, and I was running out of time. Logan forcing me to quit, combined with him snooping through my journal, sent me into genuine panic. I was like an animal backed into a corner with nowhere to run. I had to find evidence, something concrete before he could execute his plan. The warnings from Tara and Lauren were just words. In the eyes of the law, they were too weak. I knew Logan had 2 phones. One was an iPhone 15 Pro Max he used publicly, which had the family-sharing apps installed. I knew the passcode to that one. It was suspiciously clean. Only photos of me and work stuff, nothing shady. But he had another phone, a highly encrypted black smartphone he always carried on his person. He called it his executive phone, claiming it had military-grade security so no one could hack into his corporate deals. I was convinced all his most horrifying secrets were hidden in that black phone. It held his true self, but he never let it out of his sight. He took it into the bathroom. He kept it under his pillow when he slept. I had no way to touch it. My chance came late one night. Logan said he had to review an urgent contract and needed absolute silence. He went into his home office and slammed the door shut. This was his habit. When working, he locked the door and stayed in there for hours. But that night, maybe God wanted to help me. Just 10 minutes after he went into the office, the mansion's smoke alarms suddenly started blaring piercedly. I jumped out of bed and ran into the hallway. The housekeeper also ran upstairs in a panic. Logan threw open his office door and rushed out. "What's going on? Where's the fire?" We ran down to the kitchen. It turned out the housekeeper had left a pot of soup simmering and forgot to turn off the stove, causing thick smoke that triggered a false alarm. Annoyed, Logan shut off the alarm system and scolded the housekeeper. But in that chaos, I noticed something. He had rushed out so fast, he forgot his encrypted black phone. It was still sitting on his desk. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was my only chance. I coughed. I'm so scared. My heart is racing. I'm going to go back upstairs and lie down. Logan, still annoyed, just nodded. "Go rest. I'll handle resetting the alarm panel." I went upstairs, but I didn't go to the bedroom. Holding my breath, I crept into his home office. The door was slightly ajar. The black smartphone sat cold and lifeless on the wooden desk. I lunged and grabbed it. It was heavy and cold. I pressed the power button. The screen lit up, asking for a passcode. What do I do? Trembling, I typed his birthday. Incorrect passcode. I typed my birthday. Incorrect passcode. Our anniversary. Incorrect passcode. Panic set in. I heard Logan's footsteps in the hallway. He was coming upstairs. What do I do? I frantically typed Lauren's birthday, based on the info Tara gave me. Incorrect passcode. The footsteps were right outside the door. I hastily placed the phone back in its exact original position. I darted out of the office, my heart practically leaping out of my mouth, and slammed right into Logan at the threshold. "What are you doing in here?" He frowned, his eyes full of deep suspicion. I clutched my chest, panting. I was looking for a glass of water. I feel like I can't breathe. Logan stared at me, then glanced into his office. He didn't say anything. He just smiled. A smile I now knew was entirely fake. "Let me get you some water. Go back to your room." I had failed. And worse, I knew he definitely suspected me now. The next few days, the air in the mansion became suffocatingly strange. Logan never brought up the fact that I snuck into his office. He didn't ask why I was out of breath or why I slammed into him. The silence was the most terrifying part. He reverted to his attentive husband role, but that attentiveness now reeked of gunpowder. He cared for me so intensely it was practically surveillance. He never left me alone for long. He personally peeled my fruit, personally mixed my prenatal shakes, and always smiled. But his smile no longer reached his eyes. His gaze was sharp, as if trying to drill into my skull to see what I was hiding. I lived in terror, like a baby bird trapped in a cage with a python. I didn't dare use the burner phone. I didn't dare contact anyone. All I could do was wait. Wait for his next move. And I didn't have to wait long. That morning, at breakfast, as he was meticulously peeling an orange, he suddenly spoke, his voice gentle. "Hey, sweetheart, you've seemed really exhausted lately. A bit emotionally unstable. I'm worried about your health and the baby's." I flinched, almost dropping my fork. "Here it comes." He was referencing my can't breathe excuse from the other night. "I've been going to my regular checkups at Sacred Heart," I said. "The doctor says everything is fine." Logan shook his head, placing a perfectly peeled orange slice on my plate. "Routine checkups are one thing, but I want you cared for by the absolute best." I talked to Dr. Trenton. He recommended a top-tier cardiovascular and maternity specialist who just returned from Europe. "I booked an appointment for you this weekend." My heart plummeted into an abyss. "A specialist? Is it still at Sacred Heart?" He smiled. A smile that revealed the true depth of its danger. "No, this place is much better. It's a newly opened private clinic in a secluded area in upstate New York, very quiet. Completely private, just the specialist and you. He will personally examine you, much more thoroughly than at a crowded hospital." My throat went dry as dust. A quiet, completely private clinic in an isolated area, recommended by Dr. Trenton. All of Lauren's warnings screamed in my ears. He needs a surgical accident with Dr. Trenton. It's too easy. This was it. This was the trap. He had set it all up. He was taking me to the slaughterhouse. He realized I was suspicious, so he decided to accelerate his timeline. I forced a smile, though I knew it was more distorted than crying. "Okay. You're always so thoughtful. Thank you, honey." Logan nodded in satisfaction, reaching out to stroke my hair. "Good girl. Eat some more." He thought I was still a naive idiot, drowning in his fake love. He didn't know that I knew everything. I would not let him execute his weekend plan. I had to act first. The notification about the specialist appointment at a secluded clinic felt like a scheduled death sentence. I knew I had no time to hesitate. I couldn't wait until the weekend. I had to escape immediately. Right now, I had to find a way to contact Tara and Lauren. That night, I deployed my final tactic. I told Logan my pregnancy cravings were acting up. I desperately wanted spicy street tacos from a specific dive food truck downtown, a place I knew he would absolutely never go to. I threw a fit, demanding he go buy them. Logan initially grimaced. He didn't want me eating street food, but I threw a tantrum, saying if a pregnant woman didn't get her cravings, it would hurt the baby. Finally, my annoying persistence beat out his paranoia. He reluctantly agreed to go get them. The moment he drove out the gates, I bolted into the bathroom. I locked the door, turned the shower on full blast, and pulled the burner phone out from inside the lining of a winter boot where I had hidden it. My hands shook so violently, I misdialed Tara's number twice. "Hello? Tara, it's me. It's an emergency," I whispered frantically. "Tessa, what's wrong?" Tara sounded panicked. "He's making his move." I quickly explained the plan about the upstate clinic. "He booked it for this weekend. I won't make it out of there alive. I have to run immediately." "Oh my God," Tara gasped. "Then you need to run away right now." "No." I gritted my teeth, suppressing my shivers. "I can't run alone. He will find me." "Tara, is Lauren there? I have to talk to her." A brief silence. I heard muffled whispering. Then a raspy but firm voice came on the line. "Tessa, it's Lauren. I'm listening." "Lauren, it's happening to me just like it did to you." He set everything up. Lauren's voice was ice cold, but that coldness grounded me. This isn't the time to cry. "His plan is for the weekend. We still have time. When is your next routine checkup at Sacred Heart?" I paused. "It's tomorrow morning, at 9 a.m. "Perfect," Lauren said decisively. "We make our move tomorrow at Sacred Heart. It's a public place. He won't dare cause a scene. You have to find a way to separate from him." I'll say I have stomach cramps." "Not enough," Lauren cut me off. "He'll follow you." "Tara," I heard her call out. "You're on shift tomorrow, right?" "Yes." "I'm manning the ultrasound room for Tessa." Tara's voice trembled. "Excellent," Lauren said. "At 9 a.m., when Tessa is in the ultrasound room, you have to create an incident. Anything. A fire, an electrical short, another patient coding. It has to be chaotic enough to distract him. I heard Tara take a deep breath. I can do that. I'll pull the main breaker for the ultrasound wing. At 9 a.m., Lauren repeated. When the lights go out, Tessa, you sprint straight for the back exit, not the main lobby. Emergency exit B, near the old parking garage. I will be waiting there. A silver Toyota Yaris, license plate NY30A1234. Memorize it. I muttered the license plate to myself. A plan. A real escape plan. My heart pounded wildly, but this time not out of fear, but hope. I won't bring anything. Just my ID and some cash I hid. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sensation. The terror was still there, but mixed with it was an iron resolve. I picked out my loosest, most comfortable maternity dress and wore flat sneakers for running. Logan didn't seem suspicious after the taco incident the night before. He was as attentive as ever, buckling my seatbelt for me. After the checkup today, let's go to that nice Italian place for lunch, he said. I just nodded, forcing a smile. We arrived at Sacred Heart Hospital. At 8:55 a.m., the luxurious, quiet atmosphere here now felt as suffocating as hell. I glanced at my watch. Almost time. Logan guided me into the ultrasound room. Tara was there, prepping the machine. Her face was pale, but when she saw me, she gave a microscopic nod, a nod Logan couldn't see. Be gentle with my wife, Logan said, his voice dripping with authority. Yes, Mr. Davis, Tara stammered. I lay down on the bed. The cold gel was applied to my stomach. Logan stood right beside me, not moving an inch, his eyes fixed on the monitor. I could hear my heart thudding wildly, louder than the fetal heartbeat amplifying through the machine. I held my breath. Tara, do it. Right at that moment, pop! The ultrasound monitor went black. Every light in the room died. The hum of the AC cut out. The room plunged into dim darkness, lit only by the faint light spilling from the hallway. My heart stopped. Ah! Ah! Tara screamed a very convincing scream. Sparks! Oh my God, the power blew. What is wrong with this hospital? Logan snapped, his voice full of irritation. But Tara acted her heart out. She ran toward the door, yelling, Fire! I smell smoke. Someone help, there's a fire. This was the signal. Tara's screaming triggered genuine chaos in the corridor. I heard heavy footsteps running, people shouting. I quickly clutched my stomach and rolled off the bed. Honey, I'm so scared. I grabbed Logan's arm, my voice trembling, my stomach. It hurts. I need to go to the bathroom. I'm scared. Logan was completely distracted. He was looking out into the chaotic hallway, trying to see where the fire was. Go, be careful. Wait for me here. I didn't wait a single second. I didn't run toward the restrooms. I clutched my belly and sprinted in the opposite direction, toward the emergency stairwell. I ran for my life. I didn't dare look back. My lungs felt like they were going to explode, but I didn't stop. Emergency exit B. Near the old parking garage. I saw it. I used all my strength to shove the heavy steel door open. Blinding sunlight hit my face. I was free. I spotted the silver Toyota Yaris, plate NY30A1234. Lauren was in the driver's seat. She waved frantically. I lunged, yanked the passenger door open, and threw myself inside. Drive, drive. Lauren didn't say a word. She slammed on the gas. The car shrieked, peeling out of the hospital alleyway. I looked back. The Sacred Heart building receded into the distance. I did it. I was free. Tears poured down my face, tears of liberation. Stay calm, Lauren said. Her voice was cold and intensely focused, her hands gripping the steering wheel tight. Once we hit the main avenue and blend into traffic, we lose him. I nodded, trying to stop crying, my shaking hands fumbling with the seatbelt. I was still panting, my heart threatening to burst out of my chest. Thank you. I thought, don't thank me yet, Lauren cut me off. We aren't out of the woods. Her grim intuition proved correct far too quickly. Just as Lauren's Yaris pulled out of the narrow alley onto the busy main avenue, about to merge into traffic. Crash! A black Range Rover materialized out of nowhere. charging like a wild beast, slamming violently into the side of our car. The impact wasn't enough to crush us, but it was enough to block our escape route. It was Logan's car. He was here. He had been waiting. My blood froze. Our plan, Tara's chaos. He had anticipated all of it. He wasn't fooled at all. "Damn it!" Lauren screamed. Moving with lightning speed, she threw the car into reverse. She slammed the gas, the car screeching as it backed quickly into the alley. The door of the Range Rover flew open. Logan stepped out. He wasn't wearing his silk shirt anymore, nor his gentle smile. He had shed his jacket, wearing only a tight black t-shirt. For the first time, I saw his face contorted in pure, unadulterated rage. His eyes were bloodshot. That wasn't my husband. That was a demon. Seeing us reverse, he lunged back into the Range Rover. Lauren spun the wheel, finding another narrow path through the alleyway, connecting to a parallel street. We blasted out of there. The chase began. Lauren drove like a maniac, weaving through crowded streets, but how could her beat-up Toyota Yaris outrun his monster of an SUV? He tailed us inches from our bumper, laying on the horn. Bam! He rear-ended us. The car fishtailed. I screamed, clutching the door handle. This bastard wants to kill us both. Lauren gritted her teeth, sweat beading on her forehead. She aggressively steered toward the highway on-ramp, hoping to lose him in faster traffic. But that was a fatal mistake. On the relatively open highway, it was even easier for him to strike. The Range Rover roared, pulling up parallel to us. He looked at me through the window, a horrifying smirk on his face. Then he jerked the steering wheel. Smash! He deliberately rammed the side of Lauren's car, pinning us against the concrete median. "No!" I screamed. The Yaris completely lost control. It spun once, twice across the lanes. I saw the concrete barrier rushing toward my face. I only had time to squeeze my eyes shut. Screech, crunch. A deafening sound shredded the air. My world went dark. I smelled burning rubber, gasoline, and blood. I heard my own screaming. Then, the sound of his car door slamming shut. Heavy, furious footsteps marching toward me. The crumpled door on my side was violently ripped open. His face, twisted in rage, loomed over me. He glared at me and roared, "Where do you think you're going?" My head was ringing from smashing against the window. Everything was blurry. All I registered was the horrifying screech of metal and acrid smoke. I vaguely sensed something warm and metallic-smelling dripping from Lauren's forehead. She was slumped over the steering wheel, motionless. "Lauren! Lauren, wake up!" I screamed, trying to shake her, but my body ached all over. I couldn't move properly. Logan had ripped the mangled door completely open. His hand, like an iron vise, clamped onto my arm, dragging me out brutally. I collapsed onto the scorching asphalt of the highway. "Help me!" I screamed, desperately clawing at anything I could. Several cars had stopped in the distance. People were starting to rubberneck at the accident. "Help me! He wants to kill me. He's a psychopath." Before I could finish, he lunged at me. But he didn't cover my mouth. He did something far more cruel. He dropped to his knees beside me, pulled me into a tight embrace, and began to wail. He looked up at the curious crowd, screaming in a voice filled with ultimate agony. "Sweetheart, why would you do this? Why did you run away from the hospital?" I was stunned, pinned tightly in his arms, unable to move. He turned to the crowd, tears streaming down his face. "This is my wife. She's pregnant, but she suffers from severe bipolar disorder. She's having a psychotic break. She just escaped from the psychiatric ward. Please, somebody call an ambulance. She just crashed her friend's car." The murmuring crowd suddenly went silent. They looked at me, a pregnant woman with disheveled hair, pale face, struggling wildly in the arms of a man who looked utterly devastated. They looked at the unconscious Lauren in the car. Then they looked back at me. Their eyes shifted from curiosity to pity. But pity for him, not me. They believed him. They bought the flawless performance of the wealthy, handsome, heartbroken husband dealing with a crazy wife. "No," I screamed. "He's lying. He wants to kill me. He rammed our car. There, do you see?" He shook his head, looking tragically defeated. She's having another episode. Shh, sweetheart, come on, let's go home. Let's go back to the hospital. My words became meaningless. The more I struggled, the more they believed I was insane. I realized the bitter truth. In the eyes of society, a rich, handsome, elegant man like Logan could never be the villain. The crazy one was always the woman. Lauren, save her, I whispered, exhausted. I know, honey. I'll call 911 for your friend, he said, before scooping me up. He was no longer gentle. His arms locked around me like iron bands. He shoved me into the back of his Range Rover and engaged the child locks from the outside. I pounded on the glass, staring out in despair. I saw him pull out his phone, calmly dialing, probably actually calling an ambulance to handle Lauren, or maybe calling Dr. Trenton to clean up the scene. The SUV roared to life and sped off, leaving the unconscious Lauren behind, leaving the pitying crowd behind, leaving my last shred of hope behind. I had failed miserably, and now I had no idea where he was taking me. The SUV tore down the highway. I stopped pounding on the windows. I curled into a ball in the back seat, trembling uncontrollably. I had lost. I had dragged Lauren into danger, and I didn't even know if she was dead or alive. I had severely underestimated this monster. He wasn't just cruel. He was a genius. The plan at the hospital, Tara's chaos, it was all just a joke to him. He knew. He anticipated it, and he waited to catch me. I cried. Tears of sheer helplessness and terror. Stop! Let me go, you bastard, I screamed, using my remaining strength to punch the glass partition separating the front and back seats. He didn't turn around. I only saw his broad shoulders calmly steering the wheel. We weren't heading back to the city. We weren't going back to our estate. He was driving east, toward the Atlantic. The road grew increasingly desolate, lined only with dense pine trees and the sound of crashing waves. After nearly 2 hours, the SUV turned down a narrow dirt road leading to an incredibly luxurious but utterly isolated mansion perched on a cliff in Montauk, overlooking the ocean. High fences, security cameras everywhere. This wasn't a home. It was a prison. When had he prepared this? The heavy iron gates automatically opened and snapped shut the second we drove in. He killed the engine, opened my door, dragged me out, and hauled me inside without an ounce of pity. Welcome back, boss. Ma'am. 2 burly security guards in uniform bowed their heads. They saw me being dragged like an animal, but their eyes showed zero emotion. They were his men. He dragged me into the massive, freezing living room and threw me onto the marble floor. He stood there panting, hands on his hips. And then, the final mask, the mask of the heartbroken husband he wore for the crowd, fell away. His face was now a portrait of pure, unadulterated fury, the rage of a superior whose prey had dared to embarrass him. You think you're so smart, he roared, his voice echoing in the empty room. You dare conspire with that bitch to play me? Lying on the floor, clutching my stomach and shivering, my absolute terror suddenly morphed into burning hatred. I had nothing left to lose. You sick psychopath, I screamed back. You're a monster. You want to kill me for $5 million. You're an animal. Smack. A deafening crack rang out. My head felt like it exploded. My cheek burned like fire. He had slapped me. For the first time in our not a shove like with Lauren, but a full-force slap. I fell backward, my ears ringing, the metallic taste of blood filling my mouth. That slap, it didn't just hurt physically. It killed the Tessa of the past. It killed the naive girl who believed in love, who believed in her Prince Charming. He froze for a second, seemingly surprised by his own action. But then his eyes grew even more vicious. You dare. He was shaking not out of regret, but because his fury had reached its absolute peak. You knew everything. He grabbed my hair and yanked me up. I spoiled you too much. I went too easy on you, he pointed upstairs. From now on, if you step 1 foot out of that room, I will beat you and the bastard in your stomach to death. Let's see where you can run to now. I was thrown into a magnificently opulent bedroom, king-sized bed, imported Italian furniture, and a massive balcony looking straight out at the ocean. Blue water, white sand, golden sun, a view like paradise. But to me, It was a perfect prison. The solid wood door was thick and locked from the outside. The balcony windows were reinforced with decorative wrought iron bars. Beautiful, but impossible to escape through. I didn't know how long I was locked in there. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Time seemed to stop. He had taken everything. He didn't appear right away. The person who brought me food was a sullen, elderly housekeeper. She set the tray down, didn't say a word, and locked the door on her way out. I didn't touch a single bite. I wasn't hungry. I was just engulfed in despair. I didn't know what happened to Lauren or Tara. Did he go after them? The guilt and regret ate away at me. On the 3rd day, when I was faint with hunger and thirst, the door finally opened. It was him. He was back in his silk shirt, hair perfectly styled. He carried a tray with a steaming bowl of soup. His face was no longer the furious demon from before. He had strapped the mask of attentiveness back on. He sat on the edge of the bed where I was curled up. "Tessa, why are you being so stubborn? If you don't eat, how can our baby survive?" He scooped a spoonful of soup, blew on it, and brought it to my lips. "Come on, eat. I'm sorry. I lost my temper the other day. I didn't mean to hit you. I was just so terrified of losing you." I turned my face away, gritting my teeth. Crash! He hurled the entire bowl of soup against the wall, splattering it everywhere. "Still stubborn, huh?" he roared, the demon reappearing. He lunged and grabbed me tightly by the jaw. "You think you can go on a hunger strike and scare me? If you die, I'll be thrilled. I still get the money. Then just kill me," I whispered weakly, tears spilling over. He froze. He looked at me, then burst out laughing. A terrifying, bone-chilling laugh. "Kill you? That's too easy." He let go of my jaw. "If you die right now, how would I frame a believable accident? Your medical records, your pregnancy, everything has to be natural, right?" I stared at him in horror. He calmly stood up, brushing off his hands as if he had just touched something filthy. "You will eat. You will stay healthy until the day I have everything perfectly arranged." From that day on, I started eating. I had to live. I couldn't die here, but I noticed something very strange about the food. Every time I ate, I felt unnaturally sleepy. I slept lethargically, 12 to 14 hours a day. When I woke up, my head was foggy, the room spinning. He was lacing my food with sedatives. He wanted me weak. He wanted to break my will to resist. He wanted me drowsy and confused. He wanted to turn me into a literal psychiatric patient, so that when I died, no one would doubt his narrative. I knew I couldn't keep ingesting that poison. I had to fake it. I pretended to eat, but I only ate a few bites of plain white rice. The soup, the dish I suspected most, I secretly flushed down the toilet. I had to act weak, act sluggish, act like the drugs had taken over. He seemed very pleased. He thought he had completely tamed me. He thought I was just an empty shell, a pretty doll waiting to be thrown away. He let his guard down. He no longer monitored my every bite, and he even started drinking wine right in my bedroom. He sat on the large armchair in the corner of the room, facing my bed. Sipping a glass of Cabernet, he looked at me with the eyes of a victor. "See, Tessa?" he rambled, his voice slurred with alcohol. "If you had just been this obedient from the start, things wouldn't have gotten this far. Why did you have to be curious? Why did you have to fight me?" I lay completely still, pretending to be in a drugged half-sleep, but my ears were perked up, catching every single word. He smirked, pouring himself another glass. "That bitch, Lauren. And Tara. They ruined everything. They dared to interfere. But it's fine." He downed the glass. "I'll take care of them. Once they're dealt with, no one will be in my way. Everything will be perfect again. Money, status. I'll have it all." He talked to himself like this for a long time. He cursed. He rambled about his master plan, about how patient he had had to be with me. And then, the alcohol knocked him out. He slumped into the armchair, fast asleep. His steady snoring echoed in the quiet room. I held my breath. I waited 10 minutes. 20 minutes. I had to be absolutely sure he was in a deep sleep. When his snoring grew heavy and rhythmic, I finally made my move. I crept out of bed, quiet as a cat, and then I saw it. the encrypted black smartphone. When he slumped over, it had fallen out of his jacket pocket and landed on the sheepskin rug next to the chair. My heart felt like it would explode. This was it. My chance. I crawled over and snatched it. My hands were shaking. I didn't dare stay in the bedroom. I crept into the ensuite bathroom, locked the door, and turned the faucet on full blast to mask any noise. I sat on the freezing marble floor. I hit the power button. The passcode screen appeared. I took a deep breath. Last time I failed because I tried everyone else's dates. This time, I had to try mine. My birthday. Incorrect. Our anniversary. Incorrect. I was desperate. What other dates were there? The day we met? I couldn't even remember the exact date. What do I do? I stared at the screen. I tried to think. It had to be a very special date. A date only he knew. Or a date symbolic of his master plan. The pregnancy insurance plan. Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind. The day I was happiest. The day I burst with joy. Which was also the day my death sentence began. The day of my first prenatal checkup at Sacred Heart. The day I saw the tiny shape of my baby on the ultrasound monitor. Which was also the exact day he handed me that insurance policy to sign. I remembered that date perfectly. Trembling, I typed the 6 digits. Beep. The screen unlocked. I clamped my hand over my mouth to stifle a sob. Oh my God. He used that sacred day, the day I first saw my child, as the passcode for his vault of atrocities. This man, he had absolutely no humanity left in him. I sat on the cold bathroom floor, the water rushing in my ears, but I couldn't hear it anymore. Inside my chest, my heart was pounding louder than a hurricane. The black phone rested in my palm, unlocked. I did it. I had opened the gates to his personal hell. He used my happiest, most sacred day as his password. The sheer cruelty of it surpassed the imagination of any normal human being. My shaking fingers swiped across the screen. There weren't many apps, mostly encrypted folders. I tapped on a folder named Logs. I thought it was work stuff, but no, it was a surveillance diary. Hundreds of audio files, thousands of photos. My heart stopped. I saw images of myself sitting in the dive cafe in the Bronx, where I called Tara. I saw photos of me walking into the shopping mall, then sneaking out the back. Oh my God. He had private investigators tailing me from the very beginning. He knew everything. He knew I bought the burner phone. He knew I walked in circles. Did he know I met Lauren? I frantically scrolled. There it was, a blurry photo taken from far away, but I recognized Lauren's back and me walking into Nostalgia Cafe. He knew. He knew absolutely everything, but he did nothing. He still came home, played the worried husband, and asked if I enjoyed the spa. A bone-chilling shiver ran down my spine. He wasn't a rabid dog. He was a giant python. Patient, cold-blooded, watching his prey struggle in despair, and thoroughly enjoying the show. I backed out and clicked on another folder, named Old Memories. My heart raced. I tapped it. It wasn't my memories. It was Lauren's. Rows of videos appeared. Trembling, I tapped one. I immediately clamped my hand over my mouth to stop myself from gagging. It was footage from a different apartment, not this mansion. I saw Lauren, looking much younger and more beautiful than she did now. And I saw him. He was roaring. And then, he used his leather belt. I couldn't watch anymore. I quickly closed the video, my entire body shaking violently. This was the Oscar-winning actor Lauren described. This was the real monster. And then I saw it, the most important folder, Project Bliss. Inside wasn't video, but chat logs. Endless, detailed chat transcripts with a contact saved as Dr. Trenton. I read them, forgetting to breathe. I saw his plan for Lauren. Trenton, use this dosage for 2 weeks. Combined with mild blunt force trauma, it will induce a very convincing, spontaneous miscarriage. I'll handle the chart. Mild blunt force trauma. So the push down the stairs wasn't him losing control. It was part of the plan. I shakily scrolled down to find my name. And there it was. Trenton. Tessa's pregnancy is too healthy. The old method won't look natural. Maybe wait for the C-section. An accidental, lethal reaction to the anesthesia makes much more sense. perfectly safe for us. And Logan's reply, Logan, this weekend, the upstate clinic, finish it, $5 million. $5 million. That was the price he was paying Dr. Trenton in exchange for my life and the $5 million insurance payout. He didn't just want me dead. He wanted me to die a natural, reasonable death. I sat there on the cold bathroom tile, laughing. I laughed while tears streamed down my face. I had it all. Altogether, there was nearly 50 gigabytes of criminal data, from surveillance videos and audio to the explicit murder conspiracy texts. I shakily pulled my burner phone out from my toiletry bag, where I had hidden it. I couldn't transfer 50 gigabytes of data, but I could take pictures and record videos of the most damning evidence on the screen. The chats with Trenton, the abuse videos of Lauren, the surveillance logs. I photographed and recorded like a madwoman, my hands shaking so badly the images kept blurring, the rushing water drowning out my sobs. I had to live. I had to drag this into the light. I had to wait. Wait for him to take me out of here. And that opportunity was the upcoming weekend appointment with Dr. Trenton. 2 days later, Logan walked into the room in a remarkably good mood. He brought me a brand new, pristine white maternity dress. Sweetheart, how are you feeling today? He sat on the bed, stroking my hair. That hand. The hand that had beaten Lauren was now caressing me. I fought down the urge to vomit. I feel tired, but a bit better. Good, he smiled with satisfaction. It's the weekend. We're going to Dr. Trenton's private clinic today. The specialist will look at you, so we can stop worrying. I've arranged everything. After the checkup, everything will be fine. His phrase, everything will be fine, meant I would be dead. I gave a weak nod. Okay. I trust you. He was satisfied with my submissiveness. He didn't know that the night before, while he was passed out drunk, I had done something. I had snuck out onto the balcony. The mansion was so isolated that cell service was practically non-existent, but at the furthest corner of the balcony, behind a large potted plant, I found one weak bar of 3G signal. Just one bar. I sat huddled in the freezing, dark sea breeze. With shaking hands, I sent every photo, every video to Tara and Lauren. The files were large, and the signal was weak. The process took hours. Every time I heard him shift in his sleep inside the room, my heart stopped. I typed one final message. Tara, Lauren, this is all the evidence. This is his plan. The address for the upstate clinic is here. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., he is going to kill me. Please, call the police immediately. Save me. Then, I turned on the GPS location, sharing on the burner phone, and slipped it deep into the lining of the handbag he gave me to carry my medical records. I had done everything I possibly could. Now, my life rested entirely in the hands of Tara, Lauren, and justice, if it truly existed. The Range Rover rolled down the road. He drove, humming a cheerful tune. I sat next to him with my eyes closed, gripping my handbag tightly, the vessel holding my final hope. We drove toward the clinic in upstate New York. It didn't look like a high-end medical facility. It looked like an abandoned warehouse deep inside a desolate industrial park. My heart sank to the bottom of the ocean. This was the place he chose to end me. The clinic was essentially a large, single-story building that had been hastily painted over. The overpowering smell of antiseptic couldn't mask the musty, decaying odor beneath. Inside, there was only Dr. Trenton and a stone-faced female nurse waiting. There were no other patients. This place was a perfectly constructed slaughterhouse. "Lie down here," Dr. Trenton said, his voice booming in a faux-friendly tone. "Just going to give you a quick vitamin injection. Nourishment for the pregnancy. Chairman Logan has been so worried about you." Logan stood with his arms crossed by the door. He didn't come in. He stood guard like a wolf, watching its prey. The mask of care had vanished, leaving only cold calculation. He looked at me like I was an inanimate object. Trembling, I lay down on the cold examination table. The nurse walked over, tying a rubber tourniquet tightly around my bicep. Dr. Trenton held a large syringe pre-filled with a clear liquid. I knew it wasn't vitamins. It was the drug that would trigger lethal anaphylactic shock and stop my heart. "L. Logan." I wheezed. turning my head toward him. He just smirked. Be a good girl. It'll be over fast. It won't hurt. The moment he finished his sentence, Dr. Trenton brought the needle close to my arm. I squeezed my eyes shut. Tara. Lauren. Where are the police? Crash! The flimsy metal door of the clinic was kicked open with explosive force. Blinding sunlight flooded the room. Everyone froze. State police. Drop the syringe. Logan froze, the smug satisfaction wiping off his face, replaced by sheer panic in a fraction of a second. Dr. Trenton shook so violently he dropped the syringe. Smash! The glass shattered, the lethal liquid splashing across the floor. The nurse threw her hands in the air in terror. Dozens of plainclothes detectives and uniformed state troopers swarmed the room, weapons drawn. Standing right behind the lead detective were Tara and Lauren. Their faces were pale, but their eyes blazed with fierce determination. They did it. They made it in time. What are you doing? Logan roared, trying to regain his composure. This is a private clinic. Do you have a warrant? The lead detective didn't say a word. He just held up a smartphone. On the screen was the video of Logan beating Lauren. Logan Davis, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated assault, and wire fraud. We have 50 gigabytes of evidence detailing your crimes. Logan saw the video. He looked at Tara and Lauren. He realized he had lost. But instead of surrendering, the cornered beast went rabid. He didn't lunge at the cops. He lunged at me. You bitch! You dare! He roared, trying to grab me as a hostage. But the troopers were faster. They tackled him to the floor. The cold click of handcuffs echoed in the room. You betrayed me! I'll kill you! He continued to scream, thrashing madly as he glared at me. Dr. Trenton had already turned to jelly, collapsing onto his knees. I was forced. I didn't know anything. He made me do it. I sat up on the hospital bed, my entire body shaking uncontrollably. I looked at Tara. I looked at Lauren. We didn't say a word. We just looked at each other and burst into tears. Tears of terror, of resentment, and finally, tears of absolute liberation. My life in hell was finally over. The trial of Logan Davis and his accomplices captured the nation's attention. No one could believe that a prominent real estate CEO, a perfect Prince Charming in the eyes of the public, could be such a ruthless, sociopathic monster. With 50 gigabytes of undeniable data from the abuse videos of Lauren and surveillance audio, to the detailed text logs planning the lethal injection with Dr. Trenton, plus the $5 million life insurance policy, and the tearful but ironclad testimonies from Lauren and me, the case was airtight. To save himself, Dr. Trenton flipped and confessed to everything, including previous instances of falsifying medical records at Logan's behest. In the end, the judge handed down a fitting sentence. Logan Davis received life in prison without the possibility of parole for a slew of charges: conspiracy to commit murder, wire fraud, aggravated assault, and kidnapping. Dr. Trenton received 20 years for his complicity and severe medical malpractice. Logan's real estate empire, built on a foundation of lies, quickly collapsed alongside him. On the day of the sentencing, I didn't attend. I watched the news on TV. I didn't want to see his face ever again. Hearing the life sentence, I didn't feel a vindictive thrill. I only felt a vast emptiness and infinite relief. It was truly, finally over. A few months later, I safely delivered a healthy baby boy. I gave birth in a normal, standard maternity ward, surrounded by my mother's loving care. I sold the mansion and all the luxury items he had bought for me. I didn't want to keep a single thing that belonged to that nightmare. I took the money that rightfully belonged to me and moved to a small, cozy house in a quiet suburb in New Jersey, living with my mom. The house wasn't huge, but it had a garden, a trellis of bougainvillea, and the warmth of family. I named my son Asher, simply meaning happy and blessed. In this piece, I want my son's life to be free of the storms I had to weather. One autumn afternoon, 2 years later, I sat on the porch, watching my mom help little Asher take his first steps on the grass. My son toddled forward, laughing gleefully. His pure, ringing laughter sparkled brighter than the crystal chandeliers in that old mansion. I had lost touch with Tara and Lauren. Not out of ingratitude, but because I knew all three of us needed a fresh start of life with no reminders of that horrific past. We fulfilled our purpose when we stood together, and now it was time for each of us to walk our own path. I took a sip of my chamomile tea. I no longer thought about Logan. I no longer harbored hatred. Hatred only exhausts the soul. Now, I just want to live for my mother and for Asher. What does the future hold? I don't really know. Maybe I'll find a freelance editing job to do from home. Maybe I'll never love anyone again. But none of that matters anymore. I watched my son stumble, pick himself back up, and run toward me with a wide, toothy grin. I opened my arms and caught him. Happiness. Sometimes it isn't about opulent wealth. Sometimes it is simply peace. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video to spread these meaningful messages. Every comment from you is a huge motivation for us. Thank you.